Good morning and welcome to day 28 of August vlogs. Today is a work day for me, but Jasper is at home. He's not at nursery today. Although we have talked to the nursery and he's going to be doing 4 days next week. So we are slowly, week by week, building him up to get his full-time hours. He's really, really enjoying nursery though. He comes out bouncing and really happy, having had great days, which is brilliant. It's a bit chilly up here today, hence the jumper. We have had the heating on a little bit this morning. It's crazy that we're starting to have the heating on already. August. Yeah, autumn's coming. I am dyeing up the last of the Nostalgia Club minis today. I've got 2.5 colourways to dye up from the mini skeins. Jasper's playing with some Lego down on the floor. So yeah, that's my plan. Again, I can't show you that in colour because it's mystery surprise clubs, but at least I can get it done, which is good. I feel like I'm running a bit behind. I usually ship it in the last week of the month, but it's probably going to have to ship out on Monday at this rate, which is technically the 31st of August, so it's still shipping out in August, just. Had visitors and everything. Has been knocking my schedule out of whack. I don't know. But yeah. Jasper has got a couple of things that he wants to do today. He wants to build a car that Grandma and Grandad gave him, and I can't remember what the other thing he said he wanted to do was. Now can you build it? In a minute, yeah. So that's my day, managing this little one. Come here and say hello. Managing this little one and dyeing yarn. So this is the car that Jasper has been going on and on and on about since Grandma and Grandad gave it to him. He's got a car, and Arthur has got an aeroplane, and he is desperate to do it. So we're going to give it a go. It's wonderfully helpful. These are the instructions. Put the numbers together that match the numbers. This could be fun. We're getting there slowly. This is really, really fiddly and really, really tricky to work out where all the pieces to go. Not quite the thing for a 3-year-old, but let's see if we can get it finished. Right, I think we've actually done it. There we go, one car. It was a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be, but there we go. Right. You gonna go play with it, Jezzy? Be careful with it. In between batches of dye and things today, and managing a very demanding 3-year-old who has been very demanding today. I've been working a little bit on my, well, what I'm calling my mild Mayhem blanket. This is the one that's just giant granny squares with 2 strands held together. These are the squares I've done so far. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 squares completed. And then this is the one I'm working on at the moment. So I'm nearly there. I think I've got another 2 rounds to go on this one. And my little balls, my magic knot balls are getting smaller. I've probably got enough to get a couple more squares out of this. But as I've said before, I've got 2 more magic knot balls set aside, ready to go for this blanket. It's just using up the last of the last bits, you know, like those tiny little bits of 1 gram, 2 gram that you get left with at the end of scrappy projects, and don't really have anything to do. I've tied them all together into magic knot balls, and then this is what I'm using it for. Good afternoon. The boys have been chaos since they've come home from school. It is tipping it down with rain. Arthur should have gone to football this evening, but they do it outside, so it's been called off because the rain is far too heavy for football. So I think they've just been a little bit kind of cabin feverish, stuck in the house and driving me slightly potty. But Tom has finished work and he is now sorting them out. And I have come up to hide in our bedroom for a little bit and have a little delve through a box of yarn. I've been having a little think about the sock machine and working out what yarn I want to try on it next, and kind of I want to go through. This box is kind of my box of yarn that is intended for socks. So I was going to have a little go through it and sort out in my head kind of what I want to keep for hand knitting and what I want to crank on the sock machine. Does that make sense? I mean, the sock machine is never going to replace hand knit socks for me because I love knitting socks. But there are some skeins, aren't there, that you get in your stash that either they were part of a club and they're not quite your colours, or they've been in your stash so long that you've kind of, I don't want to say fallen out of love with them because that's not the right term, but they're the ones that have been in your stash for quite a long time because you never reach with them to knit that pair of socks. And I think they're probably the ones that would make the most sense to crank because they're the colourways that are just going to live in my stash for absolutely ages. And then I've also got some colourways which are kind of intended for gifts anyway. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to use the sock machine for more, if that makes sense. Anyway, so I'm having a little sort out. And I've picked aside, there's some definite ones that are going to be hand knit. I've got some lovely self-striping from Fab Funky Fibres. I've got some self-striping from London House Yarns. This is a 50 gram with a 20 gram mini. I've got some Knit Picks Felici. That's definitely going to be hand knit socks. I've got a lovely ball of self-striping from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. And again, that's definitely going to be hand knit socks. I've got a few other skeins here that they're definitely going to be hand knit. I've got this lovely skein from Fruitful. Why can I never say that name? Struggle over the F's. Fruitful Fusion. That's absolutely gorgeous skein from her. I've got a lovely skein here from Nora George Yarns as well. This is her Horcrux colourway. That's going to be hand knit. And this gorgeous skein from Bryony at Spectrum Fibres will definitely be hand knit. And then what else have I got in here that will definitely be hand knit? Do you know this one actually? This skein, it's called Gingham Altar and it's from Strawberry Fields Yarn. I'd forgotten about it. It's been living in my stash for ages, but that's definitely going to be a hand knit one and needs to be put aside to be cast on relatively soon. And then there's quite a few bits in here. I mean, there's more in here that will definitely be hand knit. This one, for example, Mr. B's yarn. I absolutely love that colourway. It's going to be a pair of lacy socks at some point. But then I've got some other bits and pieces that I think would be really good cranked up. I've got a couple of just single 50 gram balls of Knit Picks Felici. And I think that would work really well because I could crank the whole 50 grams and then add in a contrast for heels and toes and cuffs and get a decent length pair of socks out of that then. So they'll probably get cranked up for me at some point. This skein from Gamer Crafting, this is her Portal colourway. Portal is a computer game that Tom and I absolutely loved playing together. We haven't been able to play it for ages because it's on a console that we don't have anymore. And I bought this at Perth a couple of years ago, I think, intending to make socks for Tom out of it, and then I haven't got round to it. So once my 72 stitch cylinder arrives, I will be cranking some of those for that colourway for Tom. I'm wondering if I cranked the whole thing and added some kind of contrast, whether I could maybe get us a matching pair of socks out of that. That's this colourway. This is one that I dyed in May when I did the tutorial for dyeing with food colouring. So again, that's one of those colourways that will probably just sit in my stash forever unless I do something with it. So that seems to be a good one to crank up. That will probably be gift socks for my mum. And then I've got this lovely skein from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. This was part of her Tim Burton club. This was a Sweeney Todd inspired colourway. It's Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And it's gorgeous, but it just isn't particularly my colours. So again, it will probably get done as a gift knit, but I'm rubbish at gift knitting. So now I've got the sock machine. This can get cranked up on the sock machine and turned into socks to be gifted to somebody. So that makes me really happy, actually. And then there's so much else in here that I'm just not sure about. It will take a bit of a mix. This colourway I received in a swap a long time ago, and I love it, and I've just never knit with it. It's gorgeous though, so I don't know, I can't decide whether that should be hand knit or sock machine knit. But yeah, a whole host of yarn in here that's undecided, which doesn't really matter because it can get decided at some point in the future, I guess. But I do have a starting point for some bits that I can try. I have ordered a 72 stitch cylinder, so hopefully that should arrive in the next week or so, which will mean that whatever I crank on that cylinder will fit my feet. But in the meantime, I might crank something for gifts. Maybe I'll start with this actually. I think my mum has got narrower feet than me, so we could give that a go. So maybe I will crank this in the next few days for some gift knitting.